I've got my catalogue in my hand, which means we're at an auction preview sale here at Tatton Park in Cheshire. This is the Classic and Performance Car Spectacular Sale. There's 160 cars going under the hammer. You're watching this on a Friday, which is preview day. You can come here in person. You can register online to bid at classiccarauctions.co.uk. And I'm going to have a whip round now and find some of my favourite cars in the catalogue that I think you should know about. I'm Jonny Smith, and of course, you're watching The Late Break Show. The first car I want to talk about on this preview is a car that I love. I've always really liked these. This is the Talbot Sunbeam Lotus. So what this was a homologation car in a way, because this was one of the very last, I think, rear-wheel drive rally cars. This is a late car as well. This is lot 526, 1982, with an estimate of 35 to 40,000 pounds. These cars were a hatchback and they were based on a shortened Hillman Avenger chassis, and I really am fond of them. This particular car then, finished in moonstone blue with black leather interior. It's got a roll cage, it's got bucket seats. This has been prepped. This has got a 2172cc, that Lotus twin cam. I've got to have a look. I've really got to have a look, because the thing is these really do live in the shadows, I think, of those over there, Mark I and Mark II Escorts. And these are a much rarer car. They only made 1,100 Talbot Sunbeam Lotuses. And of those, yeah, half of them are right-hand drive. And apparently there's about 80 left in existence. So it's a seriously, seriously rare car. There's that slanted over, really quite an unusual layout. The Lotus twin cam sitting right over there. There's the plugs running on twin. Would it be Delautos? Yes, Delauto carbs. So there's a proper little snorter. This is actually one of my bucket list cars, but I'm not in the market at the moment. But maybe you are. This particular car, then, this is overall vehicle condition 91 out of 105. It's currently fitted with an original set of Mini Light alloys, but it's got the original alloys inside. There's one just sitting there actually in the passenger footwell, made in Belgium. This thing's lovely, 61,000 miles. But maybe you're a bit more of a Ford guy. Most people tend to be, because it's a better known car. And in the instance of this thing, we've covered a lot of these on the Late Break Show, both in these auction previews and otherwise. Lot 577, 1974 Mark I Escort RS 2000. In Daytona yellow with the black vinyl roof. This thing is absolutely immaculate. You only need to look down here and have a little look on the inner wings and the condition of this. This is fresh, I believe, like within the month out of a restoration. It's scoring on the auction vehicle condition report 126 points out of 135, so it's good, really good. And this one's only done, 250 miles since the restoration. I mean, under there is mint, absolutely mint. It's one of my favourite colours. Estimate 40 grand to 45 grand, so a bit more than that. That's 35 to 40, this is 40 to 45. It's got the correct 2-litre overhead cam, 100 horsepower. Yeah, I like it a lot. It'd be interesting to see if it reaches that kind of price. Very interested. But maybe you want something a little bit more German and coupe-ish. Look no further. Finished in unofficial cocaine white. This is as 80s as it gets. E24 BMW M635 CSI. This particular car, just over 64,500 miles. but it's been in the same ownership for 28 years, and that's what makes it particularly special, I think, here. It's got 286 brake horsepower, and it's got the 5-speed manual gearbox. Yeah. So normally a lot of these are auto. This one is manual, which is good. A blue interior, blue leather. That looks like it's in good condition throughout. In terms of the vehicle report, 81 points out of 135. Yeah. Mileage, I could say 64,000. The number will remain on the car, the reg number A12ATE. This is probably one of the fastest appreciating classics of this era, I would say. Just seems to tick so many boxes for lots of people, but also it's a car you can genuinely use. You can put a lot of miles on these, you can fit 4 people in them, and they have got a huge capacious boot. So yeah, it's got the revised suspension, of course, being the M Sport car, bigger brakes and limited slip diff. Alpine white, not cocaine white. Estimate 35 to 40 grand. So basically this is around about the same money as that Talbot Sunbeam Lotus and the fully restored RS2000. Which one are you going to have? By the way, it's really busy here today. We're still setting up and we're right next to an airport. Lot 620. It's only a Ford Transit, or should I say a Ford Transit, because this one is owned by Mike Brewer. This is actually restored in Series 17 of Wheeler Dealers by Elvis and Mike. Mike ultimately ended up buying it back off the person they sold it to because he liked it so much. And I've seen this before, and you might have done if you've seen my car cave episode on the Late Break Show, where I go around Mike's private garage, which this sits within. But the van's up for sale, and it's really interesting. Estimate of 35 to 40,000 quid, which is a lot of money. And I know it is beautifully restored, because it's ex-German fire service and then converted to right-hand drive, which is where most of the solid transit vans seem to come from now. But in a world now where Volkswagen vans, especially split screens, are coming down in price, it seems, or plateauing, I think early Fords and also other British kind of motorhomes and stuff are on the rise. So it'd be interesting to see if this does make that. Yeah, there was one that sold for 60 grand last summer, which is an exceptional amount of money, goodness me. But this has only done 18,000 kilometres because it's ex-fire service. Lot 528, the glorious Vauxhall Monaro VXR. Now these came out around about a time when I started out on TV on Fifth Gear. This is a 2007 UK supplied car, despite the Holden badging, which has obviously been retrofitted. These are such a good driver's car. And it does say here, representing great value for money, and they really, really are. I mean, the bang for your buck was phenomenal when they were new, and even now, estimate 16 to 20 grand, such a car. This particular one has done 40,100 miles, but it's also been uprated. So the 6-litre V8 under the bonnet there is now 615 brake horsepower. Whoa. I mean, the VXR 500 was 500 horse, but this is going to be quick. 4.5 seconds to 60, 185 mile an hour plus. And it's got the crucial Monkfish quick shifter, which I remember when they were new, it was one of those things that really made the difference. It's short on that long throw gearbox. And of course, it's a manual car. It's a 4-seater car. These are such lovely big brutes. They're a real muscle car. I like them a lot. I like them a lot. Interesting to see though, whether these keep slowly going up, because they dip down to about 10 for some fairly ropey ones. But I think people are realising now that they're good. But what you must do is you must protect these from British winters. They didn't have much good underbody protection. So if I owned one, A, I'd buy a solid one, and B, I'd protect the hell out of it with some wax cavity injection. I like coming to these places on setup days. We're still in the middle of setup, so cars are still being delivered, ready for the viewing. You'll be able to view this though from tomorrow, which is the day you're watching it, which is Friday. Yes, I got that right. Now this, from one muscle car, Aussie spec, to definitely US spec, slightly more modern muscle, that's 2007. This one, lot 630, is a 2016 Mustang Shelby GT350, 5.2 litre. Now the interesting one about this car is the Shelby edition was not available in the UK. Ford are brilliant in that they do sell, and they still do, sell a Mustang in right-hand drive. but you can't get this particular version in right-hand drive. Apparently the owner of this car was working in the USA and then became very attached to this car, decided to order this, and then come back to the UK with it. So as a consequence, this thing's only done 9,000 miles in its life. Full service history, both in the US and in the UK. I've noticed inside it's got the old Alcantara Recaros, which are very, very nice. These cars are really good fun to drive. I mean, they are powerful and they do feel like a real muscle car. But for a lot of people who kind of don't want an old car, but they want a raw appeal, much like the Monaro actually, very similar to this. This is a more expensive car than the Monaro, estimated 46 to 52 grand. But yeah, overall 133 out of 135 on the points rating, so it's immaculate, really immaculate. Now, from one muscle car to another, that there is actually a Celine recreation Mustang, and this is actually not a real AMG Black Series. It's not genuinely an SL65, although it's done up like it. What it is though, it's still a fantastic car, SL55 R230, and this has had a wrap in khaki green by Jonny Smith. This has got the AMG styling on it, obviously. It's got, what are they, Rohana 20s, yeah, 245 30 20s. And I bet the backs are, because they're properly wide, this car is. What have we got here? 325 25 20s. Oof. So this thing is lot 525, 2004 SL55 Black Series recreation, estimated at 18 to 22 grand. What's the mileage on this car? 74,100. It's got a full berry red leather interior. God, it's absolutely mint in there. Looks hard. Looks really hard. You see, it's British campers like this that I've always thought are very jolly. Yes, we know they're exceptionally slow, but I think since the dawning of the whole coffee barista cars and the whole van life thing, these are finally getting recognised. I mean, this is still a 10 grand to 12 grand estimate, this 1961 Bedford CA, lot 552, but I think they're wonderful. Personally, what I would do if I had the chance, I would do an engine transplant on one of these. I used to have a Comma, similar size van, but they're so low geared, I would always probably do a sympathetic engine transplant on them. But these are wonderful, aren't they? They've always lived in the shadows of the VW Type 2s. But it's great to see this stuff finally getting some worth. It's got its rally air conditioning flap on the top. It's got its decals down there, WRX, tuned by STI. I love a classic Impreza. I always sniff them out if you've watched the previous CCA auction previews I've done. This is a year 2000 WRX STI Type R version 6, which is a rarer car than the P1, allegedly. This is number 322. They only made 1,000, and the owner of this car personally imported it themselves and has kept it pretty much 100% standard. It's rolling on its Rays 16-inch wheels. I absolutely love these. Two-door, of course, being the Type R. And so yeah, has the EJ20 flat 4 engine, which is the more desirable block, the stronger block. Sonic blue, blue cloth inside. And it's ranking 103 out of 135 here with 76,000 kilometers on the clock. It looks to me like it hasn't seen any paint repair, or if it has, it's been done really, really well. And because it's an import, it's got the rear wiper. I absolutely love the pointlessness. It's not pointless, it's just ultra practical. Having a rear wiper on a saloon. It's great. Really like this. What's this up for? Estimated 38 to 42,000 pounds, and it was, when imported, a grade 4 imported car. The thing about these is, as you will probably know, standard condition is king. If it's all in its factory condition, it's nearly always more desirable car. Unless it's been tuned by a tuning house in Japan who are well known. The Civic EG, I remember when I worked on car tuning magazines, this was the most modified car worldwide during the turn of the millennium. And this one is no exception. I really like this though. Not a big fan of modified Civics back then, but this has captured my attention. It's not really the front end, it's more at the back end, although the front, under there is a 1.3 16 valve. It's a 1993 car, lot 521. It's estimated at 3 to 4 grand, but back here is a bit of fun. And this is why I'm interested in it, because it's been professionally converted into a single cab pickup truck. And I think I've never seen this kind of conversion on a Civic before. Loads of other cars. Not normally a fan of this sort of thing, but I think it looks great. And with the interest in Japanese cars being continuing, and it will continue to spiral, I think this would make a really good like promo car or just something for a show. And it's no reserve. So an estimate 3 to 4 grand with no reserve. It's done 126,000 miles, recently serviced, phantom grey pearl over grey cloth interior. I really like it. Don't worry about the cable ties, that's just to put the number plate on temporarily. It's neat, isn't it? I've noticed more and more people are interested in Series 1 Land Rovers than ever. This is a lovely one, I really like this. 1956, Series 1 86 inch. It's lot 567, no reserve with an estimate of 12 to 15 grand. Apparently it's an older restoration. I don't care how old it is, it actually looks pretty good to me. And at that price, you know, we've seen early Series 1 Land Rovers going way high recently, and they've come down a little bit, like a few cars in the market. But this here's got an overdrive gearbox on that 4-speed, Smith's heater, 100-mile-an-hour speedo, bronze green, green vinyl interior, 2-litre engine. It's nice, isn't it? Rolls-Royce Corniche. It's the only Shadow, really, that I'm interested in. This one's cool because this has been in the same family from 1971 when it was new up until 2021 when the vendor purchased it. That's amazing, really, isn't it? It has been painted a while ago in that shell grey metallic. It's showing some patination. Apparently it's a little bit of corrosion on the offside rear valance, which hasn't worsened in the last 3 years. The vendor bought it on a bit of a whim by his own admission. He's driven it to Scotland and a couple of other trips before. It comes with a good history file, original handbook, 77,000 miles. The condition report says 83 out of 135 points. Obviously got the 6.75 V8, 3-speed General Motors Auto. I love the little Coke bottle kick at the back for these. And the door handles. Something about the door handles. It's one of the most sort of graceful, classy parts of these is the door handle. It's just the shape of it. It's wonderful. I really, really like that. So what's this estimated 50 to 60k? I was going to say this is a line of Land Rovers, but it's not though, is it? Because this is a 2023 Ineos Grenadier station wagon Fieldmaster. In fact, it's one of the most popular videos I've done on the Late Break Show when this car first was launched. I'll put a link on screen for that if you're interested. This has an estimate of 40 to 50 grand with no reserve. No reserve. And I believe if you buy one now, there is a bit of a waiting list. Just wait for this. Someone's flying to Malaga from Manchester. It's done less than 3,000 miles. 2,900 miles. Obviously got the 3-litre BMW derived turbo diesel, 8-speed auto, inky black, 2-tone grey, cloth and leather interior, 17-inch steel wheels, good because they are the coolest of the wheels. They're just a little bit more utilitarian. I'm seeing more and more of these on the road. I do think this is the natural progression from people who have come out of very late Defenders and maybe realise that although the late Defenders look great, they are a bit of an antique to drive. So yeah, there we go. Overall, 108 points out of 135. And it was purchased in June 2023. So it's not done a lot at all, but you could spend a quarter of the money and get that. Because I believe that is about 9 grand's worth. Estimated 9 to 12, that's a 2009 Range Rover Autobiography 5-litre supercharged. Very similar model to my podcast partner, Richard Porter, who has one of these. And this particular one's slightly different when it gets to the interior. Apparently it's been OEM Plus modified with jet over jade coloured interior, Peruvian blue maple wood trim. And it's got the Westminster alloy wheels. Very cool. A lot of car for the money though, right? A lot of car. Estimated 9 grand. Lot 593. It's a Bentley Brooklands and it's been featured in the hit TV series The Crown, or The Crown, as you'd say if you were saying it with received pronunciation. This particular car has done 69,000 miles. It used to live in Scotland, which apparently is appropriate given that it was chosen to be the Prince of Wales's car in Series 5 and 6 of The Crown. It features prominently with its cherished plate, which forms part of the sail, and it appeared in one of the last scenes involving Diana, Prince of Wales. What's quite interesting here is, I don't know if you've ever been on this website, the Internet Movie Car Database. It's a great website, imcdb.org. But a car from The Crown recently sold for over 70 grand. This one estimates 12 to 15,000, which is not a lot of money as long as the car is in good enough condition. This one's showing 104 out of 135 points, so that's pretty strong. I'm now going to admit to you, while this plane goes over, that I have never seen The Crown. I do want to, I just haven't had the chance to see it yet. Sorry. I do love the catalogue. Now the weather today is just every 5 minutes we're getting angry, moody clouds and downpours. You can come here and watch and look around, bid in person or look at the cars, or you can do it all online. It's entirely up to you. The choice is yours. Go to the website, Classic Car Auctions, and just register and bid. Anyway, this car here, lot 537, 1991 Honda CRX VTEC. These cars have always had a really strong following, and that's showing no signs of going anywhere. This has done 110,000 miles. Obviously it's got the B16 1.6 engine, which is 148 horsepower, which is actually a lot considering how light these cars were. Finished in celestial blue, and it does look, it caught my eye because it looks really clean. And the alloys have been refurbished, clearly. Oh, it's been same family owned for 28 years and then spent a significant amount of time in France, which might explain why it's in good condition. I don't know if this car's been repainted, but if it hasn't, it's exceptionally good. It's hard to see when it's just rained, unfortunately. But that looks really good. After the passing of its original owner, the vehicle joined a private collection in 2020, has done less than 1,000 miles since. Comes with original handbooks, bill of sale from Snowden Honda, stamped service book, numerous receipts and keys. Wow, 10 to 12k. I think your money is pretty safe in a car like this, in this condition. Normally during these videos, I don't have much time to dwell on cars because there's so much to rattle through. It's busy. But I had to take a look under the bonnet of this CRX. I really don't think it's been repainted. You look at the inner wings, the wing tops, all the stickers are all still here. The soundproofing, it's so nice. It's even got the original cassette player inside. It's hard to find them in this condition, totally unmodified. And what, 10 to 12 grand? If you could get this for 10 grand, I think your money is so safe. But also just a cool car. You know, if I turned up at a car show in this versus an E-Type Jag, the younger generation resonate with this way, way more. And these are good fun. So we go from a CRX, a little tiny Japanese coupe, to this. Slightly different. 1957 Rolls Silver Cloud Series 1, lot 595. Now this has been treated to a long-term gentle restoration by its fastidious current owner, apparently. This model was introduced in 1955. The previous owner, the current owner, has done a colour change to shell silver over Tudor grey about 8 years ago. These cars are supposed to be really easy to drive. So although it's a 50s car, it's not going to be a difficult car to drive, and it probably has got pretty good brakes, because a lot of people buy classics and then realise, is this actually going to keep up with modern traffic or not? But I like these. I've seen a couple of these even converted to EV, which I do think actually works. Inside looks really good, double bench seat, so room for 6. And yeah, it's, what is it? Overall condition report, 94 out of 105 with an estimate of 25 to 30 grand. Now, when you think about what your money would get in new car terms for 25 grand right now, it's really not a lot. This is MOT and tax exempt. It does prompt thought into like, old cars don't necessarily mean unreliable. I say this as a friend of mine has just had a 15-month-old Cupra shat its own engine. And he bought a new car because he thought it'd be a safe bet. What do you think of these? I think they're pretty. I think they're very pretty. Rewind time to the millennium, the year 2000. That's when this Ferrari 456M GTA was born, and this is a UK supplied car. Lot 545, it's 30 to 35 grand, which means it's potentially a bargainous Ferrari, but there's a reason why it's priced at that. And it could be a case that this car looks worse than it really is. It's had the original owner with it since 2004, who's selling it now. You can tell they've really used it. The mileage is what, 36,000. Wheels definitely need refurbishing. There's some paint damage down here and on the inner wings. The wheel arches at the back, there's some scrapes and scratches and things like that. But I do wonder, I mean, looking at this, it says that the current vendors actually, you know, they've put 4 new tyres on it recently, coil springs, alternator, cam belts, bearings. So they've done quite a lot. Remember, this is a V12 car. It's quite a cheap way to get into a V12 millennial Ferrari. Blue interior, blue exterior, automatic, which won't be to everybody's taste. But I'm interested to see what this actually does sell for, because I think it might scare a lot of people. Yeah, vehicle condition report overall, 80 out of 135. MOT expires March 2025. Ooh, are you tempted? Aston Martin Zagato, the big Z. I love Z badges, Astons, because they're always quirky and weird. But this is not a real one. It shouldn't be anyway for 25 to 30 grand, otherwise it's an absolute bargain. This is actually a tribute car based on a 1999 2.8 BMW Z3. But I've had a look around it, and normally I would avoid this kind of stuff. But it's been done really well. Company called Classic Coachworks. I think it's really cool. But this is what I want to talk to you about. I don't know if any of you remember Terry Wogan, an absolute British institution of a presenter, interviewer and DJ. This was Terry Wogan's Mini, and this was commissioned by him. It's a 1996 Rover Mini Cooper, lot 647. But it's really quirky because this is a Mulliner special. And he had a Honda B16 1.6 engine and automatic gearbox fitted to this thing. So it's like 150 horsepower. Not only that, it's got piano black wood interior, it's got quilted leather seats, it's murdered out. It's really plush. In the realm of Mini, it probably doesn't get more plush than this. No idea how this will drive with a B16 motor in it. So it says here, it was commissioned by Terry Wogan at the cost of £75,000 to have all this work done. It's recently had a bill of 13 grand to be recommissioned, and it was purchased directly from the Wogan family in 2019, and it's been trailered to MOT stations ever since, which is why it's only done 20,000 miles. Wow. I mean, it's not cheap, 35 to 40 grand, but it's a truly bespoke car for an unusual, talented, lovely man. There's quite a lot of super saloons here at this particular CCA, and I'm really into this because I actually remember driving this when it was new. This is a lot 544 2006 Mercedes-Benz S65 AMG V12 twin turbo, the W221. Just to give you an idea, this was one of the most powerful saloon cars or production cars when it came out. This thing had 1,000 Newton meters of torque, 612 brake horsepower, and 0 to 100 in 4.4, as well as being an S-Class, which meant you got an incredible interior. But the reason why I'm drawn to it even more now is because as I'm stood here, 61,000 miles on this particular car's clock. This was a 148 grand car when it was new, and it's estimated now at 20 to 24 grand. These sorts of cars There's an XJR Jag over there. There's a couple of hot Bentleys over there. These cars are amazing value for money, as long as you buy carefully. What a thing. I would much rather own this than a supercar, because I think it just does more things in the real world. Imagine if you can get that for 20K. Now this era of car is definitely on the rise quicker than everything else. Early 2000s, post-millennium. It's normally my rule of thumb actually. If a car gets to 25 years old, it's considered a classic, there's a surge in interest. 2001 Clio V6, so the mid-engined one, hence why it's so swollen. There's two of these in the auction, there's actually one out there as well. This particular one's interesting because it's done 30,000 kilometers from new, and it started its life in Germany, then went on to Cyprus. Good condition, 107 out of 135 points. And the phase one car, probably more desirable, I would say, being the earlier one. Of course, it's only 2 seats because you've got that massive bulge in there where the engine is. It's not actually, I thought they were really powerful because it's only 230 horsepower, but it was the torque from that 3-litre 24-valve V6 that really, 227 horsepower, made it feel kind of mad. And it is mad. 25 to 30 grand. And talking of foreign imports, look at this. It's one of the stars of the show at the classic car auctions, and with good reason. Lancia Delta Integrale from 1993, Evolution, lot 626, estimated 60 to 70 grand. And you might see the scrawlings on the windscreen still. This is a Japanese imported car, and it was clearly raced. Loads of carbon, stripped out inside with Sparco buckets, and cage, full cage. Yeah, this thing's really cool. Lancia have just gone back into rally. They've just announced they're going back into rally, which is interesting. But this car, with its turbo fans, its carbon turbo fans, looks so, so good. Martini livery, what a thing. Well, you're watching this on Friday. If you're watching this on Friday, you can be here from 11 to view these cars. If you can't be here in person, you don't have to. You can actually just register online. classiccarauctions.co.uk. The whole auction on Saturday will be live streamed. It starts at 11 on Saturday, but you can get here from 9, I think, and you can look at the cars before the auction kicks off. That concludes my whistle-stop preview of the auction. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments which ones you're tempted by, or if you're going to genuinely buy one of these cars, or if you have bought one and you've watched this a few days later. Thanks very much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thanks ever so much.